Well, it's just been confirmed by the Ministry of Health that an Australian company, Leighton's has been chosen as the preferred option for this $300 million construction contract for the new acute services building. And Chelsea Daniels has just filed this report.
The Union for Workers in the Christchurch rebuild is concerned that large public construction contracts are going to foreign-owned companies instead of local businesses.
It's price. It's just price. Who can do it cheapest? You know, that's how we see the government is looking at it. It's the price. You know, is it cheaper? Then that's what we're doing. It's straight neoliberalism, and they just carry on with it.
It has been confirmed that the preferred contractor for the Christchurch Hospital's new acute services building will be an Australian company. In a comment from the National Health Board Acting National Director Michael Hundleby, Leighton Contractors have been appointed as preferred contractor for the pre-construction phase of Christchurch Hospital's acute services building. The pre-construction phase will last 4 months, will determine the final contract. This approach will enable Leighton's to submit a fixed price contract to the Ministry of Health for consideration. It does not guarantee appointment for the construction phase. Leighton's were appointed as a result of a competitive tender process. 5 companies registered their interest in the tender, 4 provided bids, and the Ministry worked with 2 companies before making the appointment. Leighton's have experience on major hospital development projects in Australia and recently worked on Christchurch's new bus interchange. And Angel says the union is not impressed with the decision.
We understand an overseas company has got the rebuild of the Christchurch Hospital, so that's the main building, about $300 million project. And our concern is that we're going, why is this sort of money going overseas when it could remain in New Zealand? We are concerned that the government allows that economic capital to go overseas when we have the skills and ability here in New Zealand to be able to do this type of work. So why can't it stay in New Zealand?
Angel is concerned about the use of taxpayer money funding an overseas company rather than keeping the work homegrown.
Our concern is that, there's local companies have loyalty to their community. They are part of the community and they are here for generations. Whereas the overseas companies, they're like seagulls. They fly in, eat all the chips and then bugger off again. And we get nothing out of it.
He says with the city's rebuild on the straight and narrow, other huge contracts could be given to overseas entities, with New Zealand companies being overlooked.
There's a convention centre coming up. Who will that go to? There's all these other projects. Where will they go? And we believe they should stay in New Zealand.
And Labor MP Ruth Dyson agrees.
We know that the rebuild in the residential area is starting to slow down now, so it's peaked, it's still pretty big, but we want to look to the future. These big projects, the anchor projects, the hospital, they're going to be going on for years, and I think that New Zealanders have a stake in that. We should have those contracts going to New Zealanders.
And when talking to Dyson, the message was clear.
Well, I think it's really disappointing that taxpayers' money, this is part of the health budget, isn't being invested back into New Zealand businesses. It's actually being invested in Australian businesses. Of course, we'll benefit from workers. We'll have New Zealand workers involved in the project, but this is a huge build, huge amount of money, and I think that New Zealanders should have a preference.
Green Party co-leader James Shaw is in Christchurch today on a national tour, and he also feels strongly about giving New Zealanders a fair go, especially when it comes to major construction contracts.
The rebuild offers a real opportunity for local businesses and local groups to get in and build that resilient local economy. And we do think that the way that the government has intervened here has been counterproductive. If you go into the central business district, it's really clear there's a lot of places where there's amazing rebuilding going on and everything's happening, and then other areas that are still basically a car park. And the distinction, the areas which are still basically car parks, are the areas where there's direct central government involvement.
The acute services building will have 400 beds, including a purpose-designed space for children. It will also sport a larger intensive care unit, a state-of-the-art radiology department, an emergency department and a rooftop helipad. The $300 million project is set to be completed by March 2018. Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.